Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. We have some colleagues here as well from Vodafone, from the Attorney General's office, from the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, as well as from the Ministry itself. We want to make some announcements in terms of the e-ticketing in relation to students with effect from the end of term 3 this year. But to give you some background and to recall the government's commitment to subsidising transport for students in particular, as you will recollect, the e-ticketing system was launched in October 2017. To date, overall, there have been 1.5 million e-transport cards that have been issued to the public. On average, 400,000 cards are topped up each month, and that roughly equates to about $10 million that is being used for e-ticketing by members of the public. We have now over 1,000 agents who do top-ups and 9 e-ticketing vending machines, which, if you remember, were launched a couple of months ago. Turning to specifically the blue cards, the subsidised cards for students at school, and in fact some students at university or tertiary institutions as well. These are obviously subsidised by government, and I think the important word there is subsidised, and that it's part of the free education initiative to ensure that students don't have any barriers to getting an education. So then we have, within our budget, an allocation this financial year of $20 million for transport assistance, and separately in the budget of the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, there's another 10 million assistance for e-ticketing for our elder generation and for people with disabilities. So if we look now at blue cards, currently in circulation there are about 205,000 cards, and that there are some other statistics. So for example, in the past 2 months, there have been distinct top-ups on blue cards of over 16,000, and the value of that top-up is about $220,000. Currently on students in school, we have about 85,000 students in school who are taking advantage of the subsidised transport system. For those who are using non-subsidised or private cards, the yellow cards as they're known, there are about 203,000 in circulation currently. The number of distinct top-ups for those in the last 2 months, 33,000, and the value of that is about $651,000. So that gives the background to where we are today. And as we move forward, as with everything, it's now 2 years, almost to the day that it was launched. And so we've been through a review process in cooperation with Vodafone, which provide the technical services for e-ticketing, with our colleagues from the Ministry of Communications, the Attorney General's office. We've also involved the LTA and FERCS, as well as our ministry, and to some extent we've involved the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation. So through that review process, there are some changes that we would like to announce to the public about the use of the blue cards for students, acknowledging that they're used for students to go to school. And that's probably the most important point as we go forward. So with effect from the 23rd of November, term ends on the 22nd of November this year. And so therefore from the 23rd of November, the remaining balance on blue cards will be available for use only from the 13th of January. Students who are using blue cards, we urge you please to get your supplementary red yellow cards for travel during the school holidays. We will be saying that topping up will not be available currently with effect from the 23rd on the blue cards, from the 23rd of this month. From term 1 next year, there will be a restriction on the blue cards for students. So they will be operational between 6:30 in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning, and then again from 2:30 in the afternoon until 5 p.m. And that would be on weekdays. And some of the reasons for this are not a secret. The Honourable Attorney General in the budget speech alluded to them in terms of an amount of fraud that has been noted in the use of blue cards by people who are not eligible to use them. We have also identified that it helps to support truancy in terms of students being able to go to school effectively on a subsidised blue card at any time of the day. So we're trying to make sure that we restrict that as well. There have been several cards that have been confiscated as well, and when they're confiscated by the LTA, and that's where they've been found to be abused. So in 2019, a minimum of 143 cards have been confiscated. And this is all part, obviously, of us making sure that we're using taxpayers' money responsibly. So some other information: the average transaction on a Sunday is $33,000 currently for blue cards, and on a weekday is $65,000. And the average value of transactions happening after 5 p.m. on a weekday are at least $3,000. So if we start multiplying those figures, they come to some substantial amounts of money. So just to recap, the cards will not be available for use during school holidays. As I said, the intent is for these to get students to school during school terms. Secondly, that we're restricting the hours of operation. And the third thing is that there will only be one tap allowed every 15 minutes, because that also has been abused, where students or other users of the blue card, if I can use it in a broad terminology, are tapping frequently, and that obviously is beginning to be a bit of fraud. And I think, and I'm happy to answer questions after that. So those are the three major changes that we're making, and we'd like to spread the word to everyone through the media, so that when term 1 comes, there isn't confusion in the public space. So open to questions, and I have colleagues here who are also open to questions as well.
Ms. Birchall, Elatia from the Fiji Sun. I just wanted to clarify from the 24th, the uses of blue cards. How does the ministry, or rather relevant stakeholders, try to freeze cards? Because students or family members might just board the bus and tap the cards.
It won't work.
It won't work.
No. Okay. So what we're doing is through Vodafone, with effect from, I don't know, midnight on the 22nd, all the cards are going to be blocked, so that with effect from the 23rd, they can't be used.
Only be usable again when school starts on the 13th.
Correct.
Right, yeah, this will be done from the back end, right?
Back end.
Yeah. For the one from the back end.
So it's a programming process.